That was the biggest sip I ever took. Hi, welcome to Alpha Book Club. This is the classiest interactive book club out there.
Did you hear a burp?
No, that didn't
also
happen.
hearing.
Obliviate. Go. Did it work, Hector?
Uh-oh. Too much? Did you overdo it?
Yeah.
Is it
That's
on
like
Hector?
the
Is it
Men
on
in
Hector?
Black flash.
Is it on Hector? No, still not Hector.
Oh, it's me.
There it is. Hey, Hector. Far out. Did that joke crumble
Yep.
and burn?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, guys, you got to be on my side.
Much like the bridge.
If you like Harry Potter, then this is the place to be. I guess this is how I'm going to start this one. Joining me, though, we've got the obliviated joke victim, Hector Navarro.
He's back, baby.
I'm back.
Sorry.
Good to have you back.
It's
I
good
don't
to
know
be
what
back in Harry Potter land.
Yes.
I have thoughts.
That's
They're
good.
all good.
We've
They're
got
all
a book
good.
club. And we've also got my fellow Slug Club member. I've hand selected her, haven't I? I had the walrus.
I got it.
Nurse
Yeah.
editor-in-chief Rachel Hine. Hey.
Hello. Hi. Hello. You guys, wait.
McGonagall!
McGonagall cat lady. Move your hair. It's
Yes.
McGonagall. Move your hair.
We've got a little issue. A lot of people are not happy about a particular scene happening in The Crimes of Grindelwald because an
a
appearance
particular
is made.
scene.
A character makes
But
its
people
return.
haven't. Is it out?
McGonagall?
Or is it out in the UK?
There's been a massive
I
pre-screenings.
know that there were pre-screenings.
And everyone's very vocal about it.
I have
been-
McGonagall
Oh, yes,
was at
I did,
Hogwarts
yeah.
in 1927, but she wasn't born until the 40s. Discrepancy.
Wait, hang on. Everybody pause. Pause for a second, because in other
I thought you were
fandoms,
just gonna burp.
I kind of did in my mouth.
Yeah,
In other
I know.
fandoms, there are specific answers to this question: what is canon, what is not. In the world of Star Trek, for example, anything that's ever been a TV show or movie is
I
canon.
mean, J.K. Rowling wrote it, so I would assume it's
just rolling
canon.
with
right.
It's
it.
a
What I'm
prequel.
asking is, in the past, where did we get the date of McGonagall's birth in any of the books?
Okay, I actually-
Or was that on Pottermore,
good
the
question.
website?
Straight
Or
off
was
the
that
back,
on
straight
a
off the back of
wiki,
my hair,
you know?
in the back of my mind, last book, Umbridge. How long have you been teaching
Oh, yeah.
at Hogwarts? Right, that's totally moaning Myrtle. I
Oh,
got it
that
mixed
was.
up.
So she says that
That's
to
good, though.
And
to,
McGonagall was like 27 or 26 years, and it's in the late 90s. So even that kind of maths, you know.
Sure, so
That's
she would have been there
simple.
since the
That's
70s or something.
Yeah.
But this new movie is saying she was born in the in 19
I've had
early
it all spoiled
before
for me so that I can
1927.
plan stuff,
She's-
so.
She's teaching.
She's teaching
She's not
it.
just there.
No, she's teaching.
Oh, okay. well
Anyway.
then, whatever. It looks like they're pulling some mitochondrians. Whatever. What is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah,
start me.
midichlorians.
Midichlorians, that's
yeah.
right. No,
The
midichlorians are
Rolling
real.
is
You know what?
straight George Lucasing it
Yeah,
for
that's fine.
sure.
The fact that you are
Getting
what?
that Lucas
Did
money.
you hear about her assistant? Did you see
Yeah,
that?
Yes.
stealing money
Yes,
from her?
she's been
My dream.
like
What?
Her
$30,000.
assistant like stole a bunch of money from her and spent it on like cats and books, I think. Yeah, cats and wine.
Oh my God.
Cats and
Candles.
candles.
And she bought Harry Potter merchandise.
Yes, and someone today was like, "Rachel, was that you?" I wish.
You
my
were
God.
getting as JK's assistant there.
That's
Yeah,
so-
'cause I have so much free time.
That sucks
You know
if that
she's
happened
just
to her.
suing on principle though. It's a
Yeah.
principle thing. She's got so much money.
Oh, sure.
I guess it's, I'm going to move on from that. Hey, welcome. Everyone in the chat. We've got Ghost Hack. We've got Javable Geek Girl. Loving
Hey,
my
what's up, everybody?
shirt. Surfing
Me,
Cord.
I need Harry Potter more than ever. Mrs. Kylo Ren.
I think
Surfing
everybody
Cord
does.
is saying Rowling has written McGonagall's bio on Pottermore. She does.
Oh,
She
yeah.
visualizes everything. Like honestly, the fact that she can create a 5-part movie series based on one textbook that was studied
Sure.
at school.
I just had a horrible thought.
What?
The cursed child. Are they trying to plan?
There'll eventually be that'll
no,
be a
but
movie,
that
yeah.
involves the time turner in an extreme way. Remember? Mm-hmm. Are they like planting? Do you think they're planting seeds for that to come back?
in some Fantastic Beasts movies?
No, like when they're done with those, maybe
Yeah,
they're
absolutely. Yeah, when
But,
Daniel
like, I just
Daniel
mean
Radcliffe's
that
38, for
that
sure.
plot line is bad in the cursed
But
child.
have
It's
you
all
seen the
bad.
play?
No, it's
Apparently
bad
it's
though. I read
spectacular,
it.
but it's
bad.
the magic, the way that they use magic.
Sure.
in the play that's
But
great.
story is very important.
It is, but to
and
read
betraying
a
the
play.
characters that you know and love
It's true.
and if insulting them
Yeah.
to their core.
But to read a play is
to
different
their
than,
core,
than to
Hector.
watch
To
the
their
play. It's
We
different.
Phoenix
definitely.
core.
I
You
feel
wanna
like we
read
should
it?
read it so
Phoenix.
that I can get mad all over
I
again.
actually couldn't finish the third act. I couldn't read
I
it.
read it on a plane.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey, do you want me to wreck your day?
No.
The Fantastic Beasts movies are the prequels of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
prequels of the.
Yeah, I already knew that.
Oh.
Hey, cool. Hector,
wanna
we've
read
got
The
you back
Hobbit.
now. So,
Yeah.
what were your final thoughts on the Order of the Phoenix? We didn't even get
It
that.
is,
yeah.
so my favorite movie, I think still, because I've been watching the movies as we've been doing the books, and I can't believe it's going to take us 16 months to have gone through the whole series,
I
which
know.
I'm so looking forward to. Like, we'll be reading the seventh
16?
one. 16 months, because there's 8 books, and
No,
we're
there's
alternating.
if we do
7 books, so 14 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 months is
I
still
was
a
like,
year
wait.
and some change. But
Yeah.
in January, we'll be finishing up. But my overall thoughts were my favorite movie, I think, still might be Prisoner of Azkaban. But my favorite book became The Order of the Phoenix. I really
it climbed
liked it.
for me too
I really
from the
liked
first
it.
time I read it.
Still think
can't stand
in parts it's a little long.
Dolores
But
Umbridge.
I love I hate her, but I
But
love
she's
how
such
much
a great
I hate
character.
her. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like Gaius Baltar or
Yeah.
or Pete Campbell. It's like those
Yeah.
really great villains.
The,
Yes.
the lawful, chaotic goods. The chaotic goods
Yeah,
of the world.
or even like with Gaius Baltar,
Lawful
he's
evil.
He's a coward. With Pete
That's what it
Campbell,
was,
Pete
lawful
Campbell's kind of a
evil.
coward too.
Thanks,
Those are
Pete
more
Campbell
like
from what?
Mad Men.
Yeah.
I'm chaotic good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
chaotic good.
You're yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Umbridge
is lawful evil.
Yeah. And they're the worst.
Yeah, no, she's definitely really bad. But yeah, the whole thing, the way that they dealt with sort of his PTSD and relationship with Sirius and learning about his family and sort of, which we've touched on with a bunch of books, like learning that your parents aren't perfect and that kind of thing
It's great.
all at once. And
All
you're
the- all
15,
the-
which is the worst year.
All
It's
the
worst
stuff that
one.
I was like asking for the first 3 books, and I felt like the 4th book was a little too long. The 5th book
It pivoted
being
too
the
hard for me.
Yeah,
The fourth one?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
such a groove going and then
Yes.
whoomp.
And they're like,
And-
everything's different.
But
Yeah.
the 5th one is like a
There's new
beautiful
schools,
combination of kind of both of those. Of
well,
like,
in this
you know,
intro too, I was
so great.
is not repeating any. It doesn't do
But
any of
it
that.
is and it isn't. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
They did. They she found such clever
It was
ways
a better way to integrate it,
regurgitate
yeah.
information. Yeah,
and it was subtle.
so great.
It was subtle this time.
Yeah.
Look, we are asking on the polls right now. Which Harry Potter book is your favorite so far? We've read so many already. Is it The Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of
Whoa.
Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix?
I like
now,
how-
I feel
yeah.
so much safer in the first 3. That's when things
course.
that it's explorative. You're learning things for the first time. It's exciting. It's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
dangerous, but in fun in interesting ways. And then it gets real sad. And then we actually experience loss from the Goblet of Fire, and it's a slippery slope downhill from there.
Yeah, it just gets sadder and sadder.
It really
as
does.
goes.
He loses the nice guy of the school. Then he loses his the godfather that he didn't get to know that could have
And who
rescued
knows
him
what'll
from.
happen in this book? I definitely want
we all do.
to.
We do.
We do, but I want
That's who
to
knows.
avoid. Because when I was reading this, I was remembering kind of how I felt about it when I was reading it and trying to decide who I believed and what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And that the first couple are just
The
great.
scene with Snape is
Yeah.
my favorite chapter so far.
Yeah.
And it was so well done. And
Sissy and Bella. I
Yeah.
just love that. I love
Sure.
that they're like sisters chasing each other. You
And
know
Sissy-
who they are, but
Sissy and Bella are so innocent. Like it's
those names, yeah.
Yeah.
And they keep calling her Bella, and we're like, we know who it is.
yeah, Bella.
She murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She murdered Sirius Black.
But
She
you
murdered
also
Sirius Black.
see how clever Snape is. Like
Yep.
he's playing this game like an expert.
Yeah, and
I've
even
got a
though you
theory on
don't
why.
know what's going on, it's like either one could be true. He could be on either side.
Do you know why Snape is the perfect player in this game?
Because he would probably flip based on what would be good for him.
No. We're seeing it with Narcissa already. Narcissa has a family. Narcissa has her only
Snape has
son.
nobody, just himself.
Nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He
totally.
He has no family. He
Totally.
doesn't love anyone. He has no alliance or allegiance, really, in the truest sense.
Nothing to lose.
So exactly. So the
Yeah.
fact that there's this emptiness and sorrow in him, but he is so bitter and power hungry, and all
But
of
he's
these
primed
things.
to be right in the middle of this
it's,
conflict.
that's
Yeah.
similar to like Assassins or something where, yeah.
Except he did it because he was an incel.
Thank you. I said the same thing to my mum on the phone. My mum was trying to explain that Snape's got daddy issues, but
Yeah.
she's like, his hate is perpetuated through Harry, because every time he looks at Harry, it's like, no, that's not what my son with Lily would have looked like.
Gross.
right? And I was like, he's just
Creep.
not a good person. He's
No, I
not a
agree.
good person.
I agree.
And
I
it's a
can't
We're
wait.
definitely
choice.
going to get into that.
Yeah.
later.
As
But
we learn
I also just
more.
want to say this real quick because I didn't watch Half-Blood Prince the movie before reading, but I watched about like the first third of it or whatever, and I gotta have a real crush on Helena Bonham Carter. I think she is amazing.
Yep.
And she terrifies me.
a lot of fun, doesn't she?
has so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
But she frightens me to my core, and I'm very attracted to that.
Sexy villains, man.
I think she is
Love
like
a good sexy villain.
I love the way that that Bellatrix is written in the book for the most part, but especially with Helena Bonham Carter's performance influencing it and informing it. When I read it, I'm like, oh, she's unlike any of the other Death Eaters. She brings such a fun energy
Yes.
to that. Otherwise, they're all kind of like Voldemort. They're all kind of like Snape.
Lucius,
very put together, and she's so
She's just
chaotic.
You got it.
Crazy.
Yeah, she snapped.
So really,
I love the way
really-
she moves too.
Yes, yes. So really, really fun character and great performance, but like.
Do you love her so
Yeah.
much that you would understand why Kenneth Branagh would cheat on my goddess Emma Thompson to be with her?
No, I don't
Wait,
believe in.
is that who
Yep.
he had an affair with?
And then she left him for Tim Burton, right?
Brutal.
She's married to Tim Burton. yeah.
British people are crazy. Hugh Grant.
It's everyone.
Come on,
it's
guys.
everyone.
Do
it's
we have to
everyone.
remember Hugh
People-
Grant from the late '90s?
To quote
Elizabeth
myself,
Hurley.
does anyone really love anyone else?
Oh no! All right, we'll drink to that.
Cool,
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
already going-
okay,
getting
there
low.
we go.
Gotta re-pour.
Woohoo! Wow.
Sorry, bleep.
So the winner of the
been a
book
day.
was Prisoner of Azkaban with a whopping 55%. Everyone loves
Yeah.
that book because it's a great book.
But Order of the
Isn't
Phoenix not too far behind, around 30%.
Isn't that's
Compared to the
I
rest
find
of
that
them.
quite fascinating. I think it's interesting that the Philosopher's Stone, it was on 0%. No one
Yeah.
voted for it at all. That's so
Everyone's
odd.
like, it's
People
for
take it.
babies.
Well, I think people take it for granted because it's the first one. Oh, I can't reach you.
That's fair. We're not
I didn't
done
want to
here.
assume that everyone was just downing wine.
What is left? Ooh,
Nope.
white wine, guys. Why would you give me white wine?
I know it's like juice.
Supposed to spit
With
this
it's a
stuff out,
soft
but it tastes like
Yeah.
juice.
Juice. Hey, anyway, this book though published in 2005. What was everyone doing in 2005? I was 4.
I was a junior in high school.
I was a senior in high school.
2005, you were?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was a junior. No, I would have. It depends on when.
I graduated.
End of. I was. Yeah, I was.
Hey, in the chat,
2006.
2005, what were you up to? I love those
I had
questions.
blue tips in my hair.
Good.
I had just gotten my braces off probably
Oh,
a year
awesome.
before. I had them on way too long.
Hey, Lee. Shut up.
Yeah,
believe it.
I was
I
like
believe Lee.
getting into a little trouble, but not too much at that point.
I love it. Okay, so it was a good year for all. J.K. Rowling, though, has stated that she had planned the plot of the Half-Blood Prince for years and spent 2 months going over the plan before she began to write it.
Which,
Believe
as
it.
we get into it, there are so many like we've talked about
falls
some
into
of the
place.
foreshadowing and clues in previous books,
Yes.
but this one,
Falls into place so nicely.
It's-
honestly,
it's
I
such
think
good-
I think it's my favorite book, guys.
I think it was when I first read them, so I'm excited to see where it shakes out. But I also feel like
We've got Dumbledore back.
yeah,
We don't
he's
have a
not
villain that wants me to
ignoring-
pull my
he's
hair
not
out.
ignoring him.
Yeah.
he is still kind of like we'll see.
He's vague. He's vague.
He's playful.
You're like shut up, Dumbledore.
Yeah, he's super playful.
Just tell
That is a
me
story
what.
I wish to tell you, but not today.
Yeah.
It is rather thrilling.
What happened to
Your hand looks like
shriveled
a
up hand?
date, like a prune.
But I also, it's one of those things that I love about when TV shows, know when they're going to end and
Yeah.
they can map out the whole story.
Like your favorite show, Lost?
Like what I'm doing with Punches and Flagons.
Yes.
Oh,
There you go.
crushing it.
Or 12
Crushing.
Monkeys is really great with that.
Senior in college,
Battlestar,
10th
hit
grade.
and miss. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good.
16, 17.
But
Oh, Haunting of Hill House? I loved it. Very well planned
Did you
out.
watch it?
Yeah.
I won't do it,
It's
guys.
awesome.
it was really good. We should talk
I've
about
been
it.
obsessed about the 6th episode, The Wake.
Oh, it's
for-
it's
phenomenal.
It's amazing filmmaking,
Maude,
and
you should
also
watch
the
it.
No, thanks.
you
the
like
family
spooky stuff, right? We should make
the
Maude watch
family
it.
the family dynamic and the way they deal with like mental I thought it was brilliant.
Anyway,
But-
we are back at we're back at Hogwarts.
but okay, sorry. But what
Oh
I
my
was
God, you would love the bent
you
neck
missed,
lady.
Oh my God. You missed
Leah.
when there were two. I don't know
That's
if you were here both times.
That's too flexible.
I was joking, and I wasn't even trying to scare her, and pretended that I was.
Oh, no.
I don't even know what it was, and she like leapt out of her chair.
Oh my gosh, what'd you
That was
say?
cute.
What did you say? Say it again
Anything.
and do it again right now.
Anything. She said
Anything?
anything.
Oh, I remember.
Guys, I'm a
not
little
gonna do it.
bitch,
But
it's fine.
So
I'm a
I
chicken
just
shit.
love when it comes together in that
Yeah.
way where it's not that you couldn't put it together, like you didn't guess the ending. It's not so well put together, like people figuring out Westworld
Right.
3
2
episodes
yeah.
early. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels like this was planned, but in a very expert way, which doesn't feel, at least from the first Fantastic Beasts.
Also,
at
can
all.
we really highlight the fact that these kids are now 16 and this is where the fun begins? Like,
What kind of fun?
Well,
Okay.
let's just say I've got this new moisturizer and it's lavender flavor.
Oh yeah, is that this book?
Yes.
What?
Snoggfest 3.
Oh my God.
You
I'm
don't.
excited.
Ah.
We didn't
He's
have time
barely
for that.
in the movie, and the movie doesn't. I don't remember. I feel like the movie
Heck
doesn't
duh,
touch
you are
into a
about to
lot
have
of the
Okay.
the
Okay,
book,
I'm
right?
excited.
I haven't seen it in a while.
I'm excited.
Actually.
And also, I really, really love the dynamic between Harry and Malfoy. These guys are equal, really. They're working for someone for a greater good happening
Right.
here. There's more to life than just school at this particular moment. But they also know each other so intimately and so well that Harry has recognized patterns and behavior.
Yeah,
and
they're
he's like, this is out
the
of the
ultimate
ordinary.
nemesis.
And he just wants to
Nemesi.
catch him out, you know?
no,
Nemesis.
Nemesi.
it's
No.
nemesis.
Multiple nemesis is nemesis.
No,
It's
it's
nemesis.
nemesis.
Can we get a fact check on that?
Okay, yeah, cool.
Thank you.
You don't even really. You
I'm
didn't even look it up. I didn't even see you.
Editor-in-chief.
That's true. I'm a moron. You're right. All right, I defer to you. It is. I was
I actually
messing
brought
with
that
you.
up this morning. I said Nemesis and I got corrected.
I wouldn't have, but I just want to say, I'll tell the story later, but I went on a date with a horrible date and ended up getting in a full argument with
The
this person. Yeah, and
Okay,
he was trying
enough
to
said.
like sci-fi explain to me, and he had not asked me anything about myself, so I had to be like, I actually, help run
Nerdist.
a website
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
about
This.
so that's why I'm
Exactly.
I'll kill you. But yeah, it was like, so yeah,
That's
it's
great.
nemesis. Anyway,
It is nemesis.
I'm right.
Drink up, Hector. JK's also said this is one of her favorite books as well. And since I am JK incarnate, yeah, that resonates.
You're better.
That seems
Way
true.
better.
Way
Way
better.
better.
Way poorer.
Yeah, way poorer.
Actually, yeah, I
have
need some
mics
Felix
on there.
Flixer, which is going to happen as well. I'm excited about Felix Flixer too. I actually, did you guys find a lot of satisfaction with Cornelius Fudge getting fired?
That
yeah.
whole chapter is so great because
is.
it's you can feel what I really like, even though there's no first person, it's all third person writing.
Yeah.
You can feel his annoyance and confusion through the way she's writing his perspective.
Whose annoyance?
The prime minister. And
Yes.
it's sort
Yes.
of it's from
Yes.
his perspective, learning about these things, which is a great way to recap what's going on without it being like, and then Harry did this, like in some of the other books. But just his attitude, and then Fudge saying like, "Good God, man! Of course they fired me. I got sacked
Yeah,
3 days
3
ago."
days
Like
ago.
the comedy, but also the oh my God, Bones.
This is bigger than
Bones
everyone.
is dead. Like
Yes.
Yeah,
Crazy.
This is bigger than
It was
everyone.
a really
and then
satisfying chapter.
Scrimgeour.
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 Was it Scrimgeour?
Scrimgeon.
I don't know. I'm not listening to
Scrimgeour.
it.
I pictured him like thick-necked, like with lots of like sort of 80s rocker hair.
The lion mane guy?
Yeah.
I
And then it's in the movie, Bill Nye.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot about. I haven't seen the 6th and the 7th ones like
In years.
in a
For a
long
hot
time
minute.
because they're sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
man.
don't like to rewatch.
No,
And they're
But
much
Pop
better
goes
actors,
on.
so it doesn't take you out of it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. No, I picture or was thinking of God, what's his name?
Scrimgeour.
I just pictured the lion mayor from Zootopia. I really need to
Yeah,
recast that.
I did that in a
That's
much more
good.
human form.
But the reason I love that scene so much is
bother
because
me.
it is relaying information to the reader for the fan who has been reading the series, or for, like JK has done in every book in
Yeah.
a clever way, a new reader jumping in and learning
But
about
I feel
the
like
world.
this is the best version of that
Absolutely.
so
Best
far
version.
because in the first 3 books it's like while he's at Privet Drive
yeah,
and
like
it's
just like
the
re-going,
same
or like
thing.
goes to Hogwarts and she tells you what Hogwarts
Yeah.
and Quidditch
Well,
is,
yeah,
and you're
when
like,
you think
okay.
about Goblet of Fire, it starts off with the old man in this mansion, like
Which was another pretty good, sort of pivot.
Privet.
Privet Drive. But I also love that scene because as a Harry Potter fan of the movies, but sort of an outsider getting into the world of the books, for 4 books, for 5 books. I'm like, where is the Muggle world? Like, I want to know how this affects regular people. And every time I'm frustrated with something that seems archaic in the wizarding world, whether it's at the Ministry of Magic or whatever, and I'm like, regular people, regular humans, like, know to like do this or do that. The Prime Minister is asking those kinds of questions. The Prime Minister says, you guys do magic. Why can't you just fix it? And then the best ever like response to that, which I'm sure is a response to people that have become fans of the world, is JK says through Fudge, she's like, well, the problem is they can do magic too. The other side can do magic too.
It's
and I was like,
evenly-
all right, that's solid.
And
That's
they're
really great.
more willing to kill. I also really liked,
They're not playing by the rules.
or I guess, I didn't like it, but it sent a chill through me when they're talking about the Dementors. And he's like, wait, you mean the ones that like suck the life out of everyone? He's
yeah,
like,
and he knows
and
what
they're
they are.
breeding. I was like, oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
oh
I
God.
love that.
Like,
I love that.
evil cockroaches.
This is one of the beautiful things about what JK does in this chapter versus what a movie or some other adaptation could ever do. The things that novels can, the advantage that they have is they can jump around in time in 2 seconds and it's not jarring because we're hearing like, he thought back to the first time he came through, and that was such a great scene where he thinks he's going crazy and this guy just comes through, he's like, well, I'm the Prime Minister of Ministry of Magic and we do magic. Can't tell anybody. Goodbye.
By the way, the dragons.
We're going to bring in some dragons, but it's safe. Flu powder, and it's just like, so fun to watch this
and
guy.
not having that context, and you're just like, ah, like
Yeah.
there's someone
But
in my
then
fireplace.
As we go through, like, he becomes more and more used to it. He knows when the painting comes alive, it's like, you know,
He's avoiding
like
it.
Cornelius Fudge, and he's like, oh, fine, once again, you
Well,
know.
and he also
Great.
recognizes, he's like, this dude told me he was not really going to bother me, and shit is
And shit's going
south.
down.
Yeah,
This guy sucks.
Yeah,
What's-
and
you know.
like, where he's like, man, people think that I'm an idiot, but you know, but at least no one has died in my, you know, offices
Absolutely.
yet.
Absolutely. And the other great sort of retcon, the retroactive thing is like, he tells him about Sirius Black.
Yeah.
Because you go back to Prisoner of Azkaban and they
They're
say somewhere in
talking
there, like,
about the
Muggle
murderer,
world,
yeah.
the Muggle world on the news said Sirius Black. And,
Well,
and
and the
when that happened, I
Dursleys
was
know
like,
who he is.
Yeah, I
in
was
that
like,
one.
I
It
want to
was
know
like
more about
18
that.
witnesses. Like
Yeah,
it
I
happened
know,
in the
yeah.
broad
It
daylight.
just really quickly, they're like, oh, the minister of magic or whatever, the Prime Minister of Magic, he went and talked to the Prime Minister of England. And I was like, that's so fascinating. And we have to wait until book 6, but then we got it.
Yeah.
And
That was a
it's
good moment.
interesting too that, you know, there are a ton of you know, World War II parallels throughout the books, but the idea of like,
And 2018 parallels?
well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when are we instating a curfew? There's, but like they have that list of things that the Ministry of Magic recommends to stay safe.
Yeah.
But there's also kind of the ousting of this like kind of lame duck minister of magic for a like kind of grizzled,
Yeah. Like
an
no
army guy.
nonsense
A hard
army
guy,
dude,
yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, he calls shots
you know,
and not
in
afraid.
any
Yeah.
sort of government kind of position, there's always that like flip
It's true.
that's
The pendulum
reactionary
swings.
because they're so
The pendulum
divided,
swings.
and
Harry
it's
asks
getting
him,
even.
is he good? And Dumbledore does not answer that. He's like, well, he's very reactionary. He's very, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
just like
yeah.
But
That
proactive
doesn't
is
feel like a-
proactive is 100% better than what we had with Cornelius Fudge, who was so
Sure.
afraid
yeah,
of admitting
it just
that
but
there
it
was a
has
problem.
other potential
Exactly. Yes.
consequences.
Exactly,
Yes.
which
Different,
is
different
right.
ones.
So we just had a poll that went up saying, have you read The Half-Blood Prince before? And 70% said
Yes, of course.
11% said no.
Cool.
And this is the question that I want to ask you guys. When you read the chapter about Snape making the unbreakable vow
Yeah.
to protect Draco Malfoy, do you have any indication or idea of what that vow is and what Draco's mission
I
has
also wanna
been
know.
bestowed upon him?
I mean, I remember when I read it the first time.
yeah.
I assumed that he, based on context clues from that chapter only, that he was supposed to kill Harry. That was my
Draco
take.
was supposed to kill Harry.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that
thought, yeah,
makes
I thought it was
sense.
supposed to collect
Yeah.
blood or
Yeah, or
That makes
something.
sense.
Yeah.
Retrieve a
Bellatrix
body.
continued to hound Snape.
And the
Why
fact that-
haven't you killed Harry Potter? You've had him for 5 years.
Yeah, he's been right there under your nose.
Guys,
you teach him every day.
I want to read that chapter. We got to read that.
Oh.
I want to attempt to do a shitty Alan Rickman because
Oh,
I
can I
love that
do-
chapter
can
so
I
much.
do-
You want to do Rickman? What do you want to do?
No, Bellatrix.
You want to do Bellatrix?
Lestrange.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Yes.
What's
We're going to need a narrator
I can
at
narrate.
Spinner's End. Wait, let me try to
I
think
can
of a
also
good.
do
What's the page number?
Narcissa if she says
Yes,
anything.
please do Narcissa. I'm trying
Or
to
you
look
can
for a
do
good.
Narcissa.
What's
I
the
can
page
narrate.
number?
I'm trying to look for a good page number. What's a good place to start? Because there's a specific paragraph where he's like, oh, I'll answer you.
They're talking about how Dementors would breed, and they're saying like spores.
Has anyone looked up their skirts?
Like the fog. They talked about the fog, though. That would make sense. I'm just gonna skip over that one. But
well,
but like
that's what they had to do with Jurassic,
remember in
Jurassic
Game of
World,
Thrones?
Jurassic Park.
the ghost
No, but keep going.
baby thing from
Yeah.
that's sort of like a Dementor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that season 2.
Yeah, they're connected.
See you later, Renly.
Aw,
Well,
He's
give us
pretty.
a page number, man.
yeah. Hector.
We've
Yes,
stalled.
page,
Hector,
page
Hector,
25.
Hector.
Sorry, page 25.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Page 25,
Yeah.
starting with Narcissa.
Uh-huh.
That's
right.
going to be Snape's line.
I'll go, Narcissa.
Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Narcissa, I think we ought to hear what Bellatrix is bursting to say. It will save tedious interruptions. Well, continue, Bellatrix.
Said Snape.
Why is it that you do not trust me?
100 reasons.
She said loudly, striding out from behind the sofa to slam her glass upon the table.
Where to start? Where were you when the Dark Lord fell? Why did you never make any attempts to find him when he vanished? What have you been doing all of these years that you've lived in Dumbledore's pocket?
I don't know what's happening there.
Why?
It is a
was
little
an
Irish.
accent
It is a
journey.
little Irish. I love
you
it.
know what? Why did you stop the Dark Lord procuring the Sorcerer's Stone? Why did you not return at once?
Because she's French in the books.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say you started French and then
She's
moved
Bellatrix,
into
Bellatrix
Irish.
Lestrange.
Lestrange.
In the
Oh,
book,
well,
she's
yeah,
Lestrange.
yeah, that makes
Voldemort.
sense.
All right, I'm going to do it how I've been hearing it.
Yeah, do
Okay.
French. Do French.
Why did you not return when the Dark Lord was reborn? Where were you a few weeks ago when we battled to retrieve the prophecy for the Dark Lord? And why, Snape, is Harry Potter still alive when you have had him at your mercy for 5 years?
You sound like Fleur.
This is great.
Not-
Sound like Pepe Le Pew. This is
Fleur
amazing.
No,
Yeah.
it's Fleur who's
It
in
is.
Picture Fleur being like evil.
Why?
Evil
It's
Fleur.
Harry Potter.
And she go,
Harry Potter
why?
alive.
All right, fine, I'll read it boring.
No,
No,
keep
it's
reading
great.
it.
It's
We
great.
love
She
it, Maud.
paused. Should I do? I'm not going to do a fun accent. She paused, her chest rising and falling rapidly, the color high in her cheeks. Behind her, Narcissus sat motionless, her face still hidden in her hands. Snape smiled.
Before I answer you, oh yes, Bellatrix, I am going to answer. You can carry my words back to the others who whisper behind my back and carry false tales of my treachery to the Dark Lord. Before I answer you, I say, let me ask a question in turn. Do you really think that the Dark Lord has not asked me each and every one of those questions? And do you really think that I have not been able to give satisfactory answers? I would be sitting here talking to you.
She hesitated.
I know he believes you, but
You think he is mistaken? That I have somehow hoodwinked him, fooled the Dark Lord, the greatest wizard, the most accomplished legilimens the world has ever seen? Legilimens the world has ever seen?
Bellatrix said nothing, but looked, for the first time, a little discomfited. Snape did not press the point. He picked up his drink again, sipped it, and continued. Thank
I'm
you.
going to do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Authentic.
That's what I wanted.
You asked
we already-
where I was when the Dark Lord fell. I was where he had ordered me to be, at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, because he wished me to spy upon Albus Dumbledore. You know, I presume, that it was on the Dark Lord's orders that I took up the post.
She nodded almost imperceptibly, and then opened her mouth, but Snape forestalled her.
You ask why I did not attempt to find him when he vanished, for the same reason that Avery, Yaxley, the Carrows, Greyback, Lucius,
He inclined his head slightly to Narcissa.
and many others did not attempt to find him. I believed him finished. I am not proud of it. I was wrong, but there it is. If he had not forgiven me, if he had not forgiven we who lost faith at that time, he would have very few followers left.
he'd have me,
Said Bellatrix passionately.
I, who spent many years in Azkaban for him.
Yes, indeed, most admirable.
Said Snape in a bored voice.
Of course, you weren't a lot of use to him in prison, but the gesture was undoubtedly fine.
Gesture?
She shrieked. In her fury, she looked slightly mad.
While I endured the Dementors, you remained at Hogwarts, comfortably playing Dumbledore's pet.
Not quite.
Said Snape calmly.
You wouldn't give me the defense against the dark arts job, you know. Seem to think it might bring about a relapse, tempt me into my old ways.
This was your sacrifice for the Dark Lord, not to teach your favorite subject?
She jeered.
Why did you stay there all that time, Snape? Still spying on Dumbledore for a master you believed dead?
Hardly.
Said Snape.
Although the Dark Lord is pleased that I never deserted my post, I had 16 years of information on Dumbledore to give him when he returned, a rather more useful welcome back present than endless reminiscences of how unpleasant Azkaban is.
But you stayed?
Yes, Bellatrix, I stayed.
Said Snape, betraying a hint of impatience for the first time.
I had a comfortable job that I preferred to a stint in Azkaban. They were rounding up the Death Eaters, you know. Dumbledore's protection kept me out of jail. It was most convenient, and I used it. I repeat, the Dark Lord does not complain that I stayed, so I do not see why you do.
Wanna keep going?
It's pretty long.
I'm having fun. It's pretty
It
great.
is. It's really awesome.
I just wanted to get to where he's like just answers all of the questions that she has. Did I mess up and I not give the right page
No,
number?
it's
for
just a
when
long sequence,
it's
but
so
it's
long,
great.
but it read so fast.
I know, it's great.
This chapter's so great.
I love
Yeah.
this whole scene too.
Do you know what this does? It solidifies the fact that you don't actually think he's on the right side.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
He uses every
Well, it was
excuse and
a-
paints the picture that
Yeah.
he is in a very comfortable spot, and
And
that
he makes-
he really
and
is going to portray.
He makes a
Harry.
case for it.
He is instantly the villain.
This
Yeah.
is
in
one
that
of the.
chapter.
So this one I remember going to.
Always the villain.
I think a Borders, because that was near. I know.
R.I.P. Borders.
For a midnight release.
Remember when they sent out the email? They're like, you can go ahead and sign up at Barnes & Noble. We're going to be gone. Remember that? They gave all of their
And
customers
now there's
to Barnes &
almost
Noble.
no Barnes and Nobles
Yeah.
too. It's very and now they're physical Amazon bookstores.
What? That's just like shitting on.
Where's that?
There's one at the Century City
Corpse.
Mall, I think.
Really?
It's. I can't even talk about it. But
Oh my God.
I remember, and I want to know your story for reading this because I went and got it at midnight. It was like the Borders was 2 blocks from my mom's house.
Oh my god! I got it from a Borders. Dimmicks.
Dimmicks?
I grew up in Australia.
I was
Yes, you
like,
did. That's
wait,
where you
they
grew
had
up.
Borders there, and so I went, and I remember this so.
Obviously, sorry.
Oh yeah,
Obviously.
obvious.
Thank you, everyone. Pez. That was just perfect. Page 364.
Potter. Anyway, and I remember it so vividly that I went and I got it and I was like, yay, there's people, and immediately went home and sat in the dining room of my mom's house
Yeah.
with a very dim light on, and I read the entire thing from like midnight
Yeah.
to 10 a.m. or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And then read it again after a nap, or like started it. But I remember even in that time, even though I was like, I'm gonna read this whole thing right now. And I'm glad I did because jerks were spoiling the ending at
man.
those bookstores and
Yeah,
stuff. It was
yeah.
terrible. But but I remember
I was one of those assholes.
what?
What?
Why would you ruin someone
Pause.
else's experience?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do
Pause.
that. Okay, so, this was the final book. This is the final book. I was 21.
This was not you're talking about the final
This
book.
is the final book.
You were
And
21.
I
Are we about to stop being friends right now?
well, it's a funny story when
like
you
the opposite
think
of
about
Step
it.
Brothers.
I was
Yeah.
working for
Yep.
Nickelodeon, and we
Yep.
had this segment on there where it was we were able to grant wishes. It was called Genie in a Beanie. And a girl's wish was to have one of the very first
That's a
copies
very
of
cute
Harry
segment
Potter
title.
for the final book in the world.
Were you
I
in a
was more
beanie?
excited than she was.
Okay.
Like I was like, you read open the book. Oh, I did it. Oh, whoops, it was I mean, it's your wish, but like, hey, we're doing this together. Anyway, as soon as the shoot finished, they gave me a copy, and I got a taxi, knowing that I could read the book in the taxi on the way home. Because if I was driving, I couldn't
How
have
early
the book enough.
before the book was released? Worldwide, the book was released. When do you remember? And how? Like, are you
I think
talking
it
like-
launched at 9 a.m. We were able to open the box, and I was reading it by like 9:17 in the taxi on the way home, and I didn't stop reading it until I.
But it was already out for everyone.
No.
Yeah, I think it was a launch
The
day,
day of.
maybe a day before or the day of. But I read it all in one sitting, and my brother was like matching me, and we'd be like, "Oop, death page 83," and I'm like, "Oh gosh," and then I would like take over, and then I was like, "Oh, death page 201," and then I'd finished it, and I was so I couldn't talk with anyone about it, and for like 9 months I was seeing people read this book, and so I had this bad habit of seeing someone read it and be like, "Oh." About Ron, when Ron dies. Oh.
Oh, because you were.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm not
you
mad at
didn't
that at
act-
all.
okay, okay.
I'm not
And
mad at that at all.
they're like, look up and they're like, what?
Yeah.
That
was
is
like-
mean though.
So you don't know if Ron does die, but then you're expecting him to, and then everyone else does instead.
But that's fine because that's not. I like doing fake. As long as a fake spoiler is so obviously a fake spoiler,
Is it
At
though?
the
Because
time,
funny.
it wouldn't have been.
when people go,
char-
oh, Dumbledore died, you're like, don't even joke about.
Right. Yeah. Stuff.
None of the things we're saying are true or not true.
So many
I
true.
think everyone knows, but
Yeah.
which ones are and which ones aren't. But if you don't, it's totally fine because we're saying a bunch of names. But
All it does is keep people on their toes, and they're like,
But
It's
What
such a good
happened?
read anyway that
but
it's
I
worth
remember
every
thinking, like,
crying.
having the internal argument with myself of whether or not I thought
Stop,
Snape
Steven.
was which side he
Sure,
was on,
sure.
and I think it's played really well because you don't want to trust him because you kind of hate him,
You've
but
never
every
trusted him.
but every time he comes through a little bit, even if it's in a shitty way.
That's true.
It's very convenient how he comes through sometimes.
True,
Though. I
true.
couldn't say anything in front of Umbridge.
Yeah,
Right.
no, it's,
Now
it's
I'll
all
help
very, but it's the same on the other side. It's all very easy for him to say any of it, so neither
Yes,
side
Adam.
really trusts him.
I
So
have to
it's
say
interesting.
too, it's always been important for Snape as a character up to this point to know that Dumbledore vouches for him. That's
Mm-hmm.
the thing that keeps.
No, that makes me question Dumbledore,
that's-
not
that's
solidify
really,
Snape.
That's the only thing
No,
that makes
I think
me question it.
No, it's that thing where it's like Harry's biggest weakness is that he loves and cares
Yeah,
for people.
Dumbledore's is that he
Dumbledore
believes in
is
the
that he
best in
tr-
people. That
Yes.
is one of mine. It's bad. It can be bad.
But it's very,
bad.
very
Yeah.
obvious, I feel, with Dumbledore. where
Trust
it's
people
like,
when they tell you who they are.
Yeah, when they show you.
Show
who they
you.
are.
Both. Sometimes they tell you.
They do.
oh, yeah.
Hey,
good
I'm
point.
a piece of shit. You're like, okay, but really
great.
though, are you? Yes, you are. Yeah, you are.
They're still good in him, right?
No,
God, guys, you just sliced my heart out for my last relationship. You just handed it to
I'm
me.
so
Yeah, same.
so
Yeah.
No, I still think that the way that there are certain rules in this kind of fiction. You know, let's not kid ourselves. This thing is geared towards younger readers.
Sure.
What are we talking? Like 8 to 14, 15, 16?
By this
I
point,
really
it's
don't
older.
think so.
She's
The whole series,
people
but
are
the whole
aging.
series.
No, like I think you presume that you start around there, but
Sure.
when you're getting to the later books,
You're saying
that's
all bets are off. But
12
even,
and
yeah,
up. It's
but
not. I
even-
wouldn't have an 8-year-old read this.
I would probably
Totally.
like 13 and up.
But you could read it to an 8-year-old. You could.
I
Read
mean,
it to,
I
like,
would
the
have read
first
it.
book.
I would read it to an 8-year-old knowing I could censor things.
But
would have read it.
I'll say this: even though it
Been like,
is,
fuck you, I can read what I want.
look right there on the cover, American company, Scholastic. This right there tells me like this is a book that is not. You know, it's not marketed towards adult audiences. The same way comic books and
Did
video
you guys
games
get the
generally
Scholastic
aren't.
catalogs and you got
Yeah.
to order?
Oh
Yeah, it was awesome.
The Scholastic Book
The
Fair.
book fair.
Oh,
Book fair.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I got you.
so good.
And
And my mum was like so encouraging of it. She's like, you can choose 3 books. And I was like,
Yeah.
just so I could
It's the best.
read. Oh, she just, yeah,
I
she
used to
nurtured
get
my reading so much.
gift cards from all of my family members on the East Coast that wouldn't see me, but it would be like, $20 to Barnes & Noble or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would compile them and then
"I've got
go
$840."
on Christmas
Yeah.
Day with my dad, and he would just like sit at a coffee shop and be like, I'll come find you in 2 hours, and I'd just be like, this
Oh my
one,
God,
but
picking
maybe
up a
this
new
one. And
book,
like,
reading the back, like
but I get
literally
like a
doing
full, like one year I was like, ooh, I'm gonna get, all of them in this series, but in the hardback. Like it was just a whole and you can't, it's not a great experience.
That for me was like, honestly, when I was 19, I had that the most. That was like my freedom. I'd moved out of home and good Lord, I was not working very much. And
Yeah,
I was,
19 neither.
and I'd moved to a new city and I didn't really know anyone. So I'd go into a bookshop and I'd walk out with 7 books and I'd go back the next week and buy a new 7 books and I would read a book a day.
It's the best.
I buy
book a
books and don't have
day.
time to read them. And I
wait.
buy big, gorgeous art of books.
Oh, yeah.
And the like encyclopedia shit. I do not have time to read, but I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous.
It
I gotta
looks
have
pretty.
it. It's the best.
No, I want to beat my copy up. I
Sure.
want it to be loved. I want it to be,
That's how I
this
am
is
with
like
comic books.
I
That's how
want
I'm with
to.
comic
I
books.
want to
tear 'em
give
up.
some advice that is not an ad, but it's just an app and a bit of information that has changed my life. Truly.
What is it?
So I moved to digital a few years ago, digital books instead of physical copies, because I do read so much and I don't have space.
Honestly, moving overseas,
Yeah,
I
it
have
helps you-
5
Yeah.
boxes of
When I
books.
just moved earlier this year, I
devastating.
donated a bunch of stuff because I just don't have space.
For sure.
And I
Go
kept
on.
like my faves, but
I love physical media, but go on.
I do too, but it's just. But I also read these thrillers that I don't need to necessarily
Move overseas,
own,
Hector, and then we'll
like
talk.
And
Look, hey, I'm right there with you with comic books.
if it's
I
something,
read
my
stuff that I
favorite,
don't-
my favorites
I'll
I
go buy
kept.
it.
I have
Oh, good.
my
Okay,
favorites.
good. We're on the same
I
page
have
then.
a
We're on
like
the same page.
100
Please
book
continue.
thing. So I got a library card for ebooks. You don't even have to go in, even though I did because I like libraries. But you can sign up and get a library account to get either ebooks or audiobooks. And then all you have to do is get an app.
And you have it for like 7 to 14 days or something?
Yeah, you can get it like 15 days. You can put holds on stuff. You can borrow
love
up
that.
to 15 books.
I
Yeah,
love
What
dude.
that.
is this? Because I'm doing Audible, which is
So
like $14.95
find
a
whatever
month.
Los
2 credits,
Angeles
1
Public
credit.
Library is near you, and make an account. And then for the ebooks, it's Libby, and then they'll tell you how to do it. But for audiobooks, there's another app. But I open it, and I'll like on my Goodreads, I went and put holds on all these books that I wanted, and then it just automatically downloads
On
to my
Goodreads?
Kindle. Well, I looked through Goodreads and then found them.
okay.
Is iBook associated with that? Because I've got iBook
I
on my
think they
iPad,
have-
and I
yeah,
found my iPad. Oh
yeah.
my god, guys! It was in a bag from the first season of Dungeons and Flagons, and I was like,
The one you thought you left on the plane?
yes.
Oh, Maud.
I remember when
you
that
called the airline for that, didn't you?
wasn't that
Maud.
when we were
I found
starting
2
the
iPads.
show?
Like one was just sitting on my desk. I was like, is that a gosh darn iPad?
Wasn't
I
that
haven't
when
seen
we
you.
Mom,
started
do you-
the
do you have
show?
to
You were
clean
going
your
to New
apartment?
York or something?
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I just,
Okay.
you know how like you just have selective seeing.
Ooh,
But then this other one was in
Animorphs.
like the props bag for Dungeons and Flagons, and I was just like, what's this? That's an iPad that's been in this bag for maybe 14 months.
Oh my God.
That's when I remember when that happened. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
We got to do a Scholastic Book Fair month where 1 week we
Oh, we
read a
pick
Goosebumps.
books, yeah.
1 week we read an Animorphs.
Animorphs.
1 week we read a, I don't know, like a Nancy
Christopher
Drew or
Pratt. Oh,
something.
Yes.
Oh, like
Sure.
what was the book that shaped your childhood? Oh, my
Oh
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
John or did anyone read John Belair's?
No, I don't know what that is. Or we could
you?
do like Gary
John Belair's
Paulson's
Everyone
The
Cares, right?
Hatchet. Oh, that was my
No,
jam.
The
Hatchet. I did a
Hatchet.
project on the
Yeah, dude.
Hatchet.
So
I
did
did a project when I was
everyone.
8.
That's
All right, but
boring.
did you read Gary Paulson's one sci-fi book, The Transl Saga? Because I sure did. It was great.
No, I didn't. But John Belair's art by Edward Gorey, and it was.
Toshi.
I
I
was-
was 9. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just looking through, or I was just answering like there was some Twitter thing that was like the books, and it was Nancy Drew, I think A Wrinkle in Time, I don't remember, but this was a murder. This was a mystery, but like kind of creepy with a young kid in the 50s and like an old professor that was his neighbor, and they would like solve all
I
these
believe
like.
it's called Back to the Future.
Yeah, I think that's called back. I think that's Rick and Morty. Well, somebody in the chat will probably know exactly what you're talking about and say what it is.
John Belair's. Anyone?
Overdrive
There's the
and
delay.
Hoopla are the apps that
Overdrive.
people are
Yes,
talking
that's
about.
the audio one. Yeah.
Great.
But it's awesome, and so I can read it on the Libby app or the Kindle app. You can send it to your stuff, and it's
Cool.
awesome. It's great. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, and you forget your book at the office, you can get the book on your Kindle right there.
All I was going to say earlier is that Harry Potter.
Boxcar Kids.
Boxcar
Oh
Kids.
yeah, Bobbsey Twins. Yeah.
Bobbsey Twins.
Wow.
Harry Potter being what it is, being the genre
Nancy
that
Drew.
it is, this genre does have certain rules. The same way every genre has rules.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, every piece of fiction has even certain rules. Like, look, the main character's not going to die early on.
Yes.
For the
It's not
most
Game
part,
of
like
Thrones.
Unless it's
right,
Psycho.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always exceptions to the rule, but there is always a rule. So the rule with Snape is, for me, is that the way that Dumbledore has been set up from the beginning of the series, from book 1, is that he is the Professor X. He is the mentor, the sort of father figure of this world, and he is good. And he
Dumbledore,
is, and he is maybe not pure, but he is good. So
No,
the
he's
fact
the
that
guardian, he's the guide,
Yeah.
he's
he
the-
knows what's up. So the fact that he vouches for Snape, that makes me more on the side of, I'm gonna also think about Snape in a way of like, maybe he is a good
No, I
guy.
didn't have
But
that.
for you, because you
Yeah.
hate Snape so much, you're like, well, that makes me question his judgment. Because so far in the series, his judgment has been kind of
Well,
perfect.
do you know what I see? I see a perfect man, and a perfect man
Dumbledore.
has to have a flaw.
Yeah.
Dumbledore.
Yeah, Dumbledore.
For sure.
Yes.
And I think he does. Look, I said Professor X. He's got tons of flaws, but they weren't revealed until later.
And that's
Same
but
sort
that's
of thing.
also there is another kind of rule of this kind of fiction is that there is always some big twist or surprise.
Yes, that's true.
So you're looking out for that. So you're like,
No,
God,
no.
you know
Snape
what?
seems like the twist of the whole series.
He is,
Is-
because
you know, 'cause you're like,
they
what
also
is he?
start the book out
Yes.
being like,
Hate this guy.
No, this
Yeah,
one
he's
you're
evil.
like,
Yeah.
oh no, he's playing them, and you're like,
Is he though?
is he?
Is
He could be.
How could he be
I
doing
don't
this
know.
under
Everything he's
Dumbledore's
saying
nose?
makes sense.
How could he be
so
doing this
convincing.
right under Dumbledore's nose?
But
it seems
he
impossible.
says it. Dumbledore believes the best in
Mm-hmm.
people. People do, especially, have a blind spot about the people they're close with. Yeah. And he's played a very long game.
I know.
It's like 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
It's like that thing where people are online are like, don't call Nazis Nazis. Like, try to talk to him. It's that thing. It's Dumbledore trying to be like, well, this guy used to be a piece of work, but I'm going to try to reach out to him.
Nazis are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on though, speaking of Dumbledore, he comes to Privet Drive to pick up Harry before
Great
school.
scene.
Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that
Not
great?
in the film.
Oh,
This
there
is
you go.
okay,
How was that
here's
for
the
you?
thing. Here's the thing. Now we're getting into a point where I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of missed seeing that particular scene or chapter in the movie because I figured, oh, in the movie they probably didn't have those actors return, the ones who play the Dursleys, for things like for money, budget, contract reasons, scheduling.
They're also trimming the fat.
For sure.
But this one and the last one, you will notice it the most. There is
here was
so
a-
much in these two
Here
that's
was
not
an interesting
in the movies.
thing so far, interesting change so far. In the movie Half-Blood Prince, which I did not appreciate. Like, I appreciated this. First of all, we actually see the wizards destroy that bridge where people die in London.
Oh, yeah.
We actually see it happen. And I was like, I
haven't seen
don't,
it in
I
such
think,
a long time.
yeah, I was like, I don't hate
I
that.
haven't
I
seen
think,
it, yeah.
I think it's an interesting approach as opposed to having ministers talk about what happened.
Yeah.
I get it. It's film.
Yeah.
Second thing that happens, Harry Potter flirts with this beautiful young black British woman in a cafe when he's like reading a
Oh,
newspaper.
yeah, I do remember that.
Which I was like, I also like that scene. But what we miss when we have that scene in place of the Dursleys is the Great Dursley scene.
Yeah.
The actual comeuppance of Dumbledore saying, you have not treated Harry Potter well, like as if he were your own, which is such a great moment.
Vindication.
It's such
You're
a great
just like,
moment.
yeah,
so,
fuck you, Dursley.
But Dumbledore is also like the king of Teflon. You've got Mr.
Oh, he's
Dursley
so
trying to
calm.
assert his power,
Yes.
throwing
That's
shit at him.
scarier.
Can I
and it
assume
just
that you
stands
invited
up.
me in? Can I assume that
I
you're asking me
love
for some
that.
beverages,
But that's
but you
what's
don't
always
have any?
And it's
scary
so polite,
when,
but
when
so
an adult
controlling.
is like, not mad, just disappointed. You're like, oh no.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's always
That's
scary.
Fantastic scene
Yeah.
with the drinks constantly hitting their heads as they're like,
Come on,
so like,
go on.
is his godfather dead? Is that what's happening? And it's like, just take the drink. And at the end he goes, it would have been more polite to just accept the drink.
The delicious warm honey mead. Come on, man. Have some. It sounded
some.
when I was reading that, I was like,
Yeah.
I want some.
Yeah. Gotta go to Harry
Once.
Potter world and get some butterbeer.
But
Yeah.
also, there's also the moment where, what was I gonna say? Where Dumbledore, it's banging. Oh, and he's like, you know, you did not treat him as your own. At least you
Neglect
didn't
and abuse.
destroy him as much
I
as
know,
Dudley.
as Dudley. And Dudley's like
What?
searching in his head, like, how have I been abused? What? Yeah,
He's
that
like
was
snuggled up in his PJs.
Great scene.
Just no
Great scene.
boundaries.
So I would have loved to have seen that in the movie because again, the actors who played the Dursley family, they're
Great.
so great,
Great.
that I'm like, man, what a missed opportunity. Although again, I did like the scene where Harry Potter is just in the Muggle world and he says, I like to ride the trains. It gets my mind off of things. I'm like, that's a great little moment too.
and
so
he's grieving.
He's
and
grieving, yeah.
It's like you're like, oh, Harry's real
yeah,
serious now.
and he's flirting. I'm like, good for him.
Yeah.
So we've got a poll happening as well. Do you like it when Dumbledore gets more involved with Harry or less involved with Harry? More involved, less involved, a little bit of both, a little less, a little more. There's a lot of options. Vote.
I bet you little both is going to win. My personal
I like it when it's more
preference is-
involved. I'm sorry, but I think that, you know, you were talking about the tropes of sort of this sort of fiction with the chosen one. The biggest part of this is that you need the guide, you need the mentor,
Sure.
you need the one to show them the way. And a lot of the times it's like, here's one bit of information, and that's all you
Yeah,
get, and they
but
pass.
he's been in the series. Yeah.
I love
But when
that.
he I think
And he's a child still. I mean, now he's like just becoming an adult. No, he's still
Oh, I
a
thought you were
child.
talking about Dumbledore. I was like, Dumbledore's not a child. Well,
He's like Yoda.
He
He
does
lives
love
forever.
knitting patterns.
I feel like
Dumbledore.
before the fifth book, he pops in at important times, but not too much. As we get into this one, I think when he gets too involved, he gets more involved, there is a consequence to that as well. There are leaving
Yeah.
him in the dark or leaving him in the dark in a different, like, I just think that either way, it's kind of messed up. You know?
Apparently, my trauma is being discussed in the chat.
Oh, for Snape?
Yeah, no, I honestly vehemently believe that Snape is not a good person fundamentally.
Agreed.
Come
Yeah,
at me.
I would agree with that.
with
Agreed.
that,
But a
because-
lot, I mean, he's a complicated person. He's not a good person, but a lot of
Is
people
he,
who
though?
are.
Is he complicated?
I think so. I think
think
that
he-
he's very torn up.
So I had a
inside.
really great chat with my mother, who's a psychologist, in the car on the way here. It's her birthday. Happy birthday.
Oh, is she in town?
No.
Oh.
But
Oh, you had on your technology. That's how
the
you
one.
discuss
That's
with
it, yep.
had a discussion with your
Fascinating
mother.
these
Cool.
days.
Got it. I'm catching up.
but having a chat with her about, I said, I'm reading The Half-Blood Prince. And she goes, Snape is so fascinating. I was like, tell me about it. I go, he's not a good person though. She goes, There's just a lot happening with him. Every time he looks at Harry, it's looking at the son that he didn't get.
Yeah, it's trauma.
And he looks nothing like the son that he would have had because it looks exactly like the man that Lily chose. But she said something else that was fascinating and it's just slipped away.
Well,
The moment
he's just,
to
I
talk.
feel like
I'll interrupt you, you're fine.
a lot of people who close themselves off to others are really stunted emotionally. They stop at a certain
Yes.
age, and he is
not
still
healthy.
an angry teenage boy, and that is a very toxic thing that's very relevant right now.
And what I was
Yes.
saying to Mum was, I go, he has made a lot of decisions that has put him exactly where he is. The decision to not move on.
Yes,
The
yes.
decision to not have a family.
No,
of
it's
his
all
own.
within his
Key.
control
The
to
decision
move
to
on, and he
stay
doesn't.
in a place where his trauma was formed and constantly be repermeated with that trauma
He
that
didn't
he
have
faced.
to work at Hogwarts.
Didn't have to be
He didn't
a
have to
teacher.
do
Well,
there?
the Dark Lord assigned him there.
But
I know,
he got
I know.
comfortable and he could have left. He could have done a completely different thing. But this is this thing where I feel like his trauma is almost like imbuing within him to become
Yeah.
this
Some
rage
people
monster.
like to
That's where they feel
self-sabotage.
safe.
They're comfortable with it. Yeah.
Is that
Look,
resonating?
Just to
Oh,
sum
yeah,
up,
I mean,
we're
where
all
you-
in agreement.
it's comfortable
he got-
if that's all you know.
Absolutely. I think we all agree he got dealt a shit hand. And there is elements of tragedy with Snape's story that we learned from the last book, and I'm sure more we're going to learn
But a
later.
lot of people get dealt a shit hand.
Exactly.
Harry Potter.
Exactly.
definitely a
Awful
worse one.
hand.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
have to
But
tell
Harry
him what his
Potter's-
parents are like. Oh.
And he's
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I'm kind of sick of hearing the same
that I look
fucking
like my
thing
dad,
that
but
I
not
look
got
like
my
them.
mum's
I
eyes.
know.
Yeah.
Some
They're
of the
dead.
best
Yeah.
people that have ever been born and have actually
Yeah.
affected a lot of great positive change in society, in history, in the world, have had the worst hands dealt to them, and they still decide, they make choices like, I will be a good person. And some people have great hands dealt to them,
Yeah.
and then they become
throw it away.
they throw it
Well,
away. They're awful people still.
it's one of my biggest pet peeves, just on a much smaller scale, of if there's something that's within your power to try and change that will make your life easier, and all you do is complain about it.
Yeah, change it.
I do love
Change it.
reading what
Hard
people are
pass.
saying about
Agreed.
Snape here in the chat. Miss Necromancer, Snape is fundamentally obsessed with Lily. Every choice in his life is based around her. Yes, even now, when he's in his late 40s.
Yeah.
While
over
it may
it,
have
dude.
made him do the right thing in the end, it wasn't for good reasons, and it's exceptionally not healthy.
Oh yeah, he needs a therapist
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
DeMarco draws, if Snape is a broken bad guy and Dumbledore is just using him, then that's just wrong. Dumbledore is just as tainted for using someone who's broken and dangerous.
Great
Dumbledore?
question. Great question. Great point.
We're going to get
DeMarco
into
draws.
that a lot in this book and the next
I want
book.
to.
for
I
I
want
feel
to,
like
yeah.
Snape has provided that to be his only purpose, his only function.
Well, yeah,
Is
people
being this
get,
professor at school, this potions
yeah, you
professor at
make
school.
some
Well,
and
being dedicated to the one cause. Dumbledore's not going to be like, hey, I know you're obsessed with this girl that you liked when you were 16. Now
Yeah.
you're 48. Maybe look at this part
Yeah.
of the world. Or he's going, that's just who you are. That's all you're allowing yourself to be.
well,
don't
people
know.
can't change unless they want to.
Exactly.
That's true,
You
but
can't
maybe
really
Dumbledore
impact
should have
that.
had that conversation though. The way you just said it right now, I'm like, maybe maybe Albus should have sat him
not
down and been like,
awful.
Severus, listen,
You're a
Oh.
grown ass man.
yeah, come on.
Get over it.
Really quickly, let's talk about those OWLs as well. Do you have
I
a
was gonna
point?
say,
yeah, no, you got
did
a
you know?
point.
Did you know that I when I was reading Hermione's, like, this was not how I was at all, but
I white knuckled over this point right now with Hermione
no, because I
and the OWLs.
I
Oh my god, I
always-
failed everything.
Well, oh yeah.
Shut up, Hermione.
I know, because I was every feedback my entire life was like, doesn't live up to potential, doesn't pay attention, like all
What?
that kind of stuff. Oh
Seriously?
yeah, I was like a full.
I don't believe it, Rachel Hine. There's no way, Jose.
Oh, I had like maybe after work taking 2 summer school classes, I maybe had a 3.0. Like it was my grades were bad. Yeah, they were bad. I just
Oh no, I faked it till I made it.
I was bored.
I faked it real good.
I
Did
was
I have the
bored and
best
unhappy.
grades of
I'm
the
sh-
three of us here?
There's no way
No
anyone was
way.
worse than me.
Hector, I didn't go to uni.
I think I was.
I don't know
I
what
was at
uni
a
is.
2.8
College.
for a while. I failed like 3 classes. Some of them were on purpose and protest.
No, see, I did the other thing where I realized that I had to get a particular grade to lift my entire grade up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I sucked up to the teacher. And I
Yeah.
was like, I want
went
to
to
get
college?
this.
Yeah.
Where?
UC Santa Barbara.
So I think you're at the top of the game because I started at UC Irvine and then dropped out or transferred.
Oh, I'm sorry
but
that I
really
got a
dropped
television
out.
career when I was 19.
Yeah, good for you.
He's talking about academia, which
academia,
is not right
everything.
for everyone.
But here's what I'm
My
saying.
brother didn't go to
Maude, am I
college.
crazy to think that Rachel Hine,
No.
being as smart as she is and wearing glasses, was going to be the smartest of all of us in school?
So what are
Is
you
that crazy?
are you saying that she had a
Glasses
lot of
make-
potential, but she disappointed?
No, not disappointed. I think
Welcome
that,
to my life.
I
I've heard
think-
it from a bunch of people. No, but I was going to say that
Not
didn't-
her.
I'm saying you
She
didn't go
really
to uni. She did.
believed-
I was somewhere in the middle. I went to an art school for 3 years. That's different.
Oh,
Got a
I
degree,
only got
but
into
different.
the UC because I applied to a separate school that was like they have the College of Letters and Science, which is the
Okay.
main UC, College of Engineering, very smart. College of Creative Studies, where you design your own major and submit a
Game in
portfolio.
the
So
system.
they
design your own major. What is this? The movie Accepted? What are you talking about? Design your own major. What was
so
your major?
we had like a literature, but you could decide if you wanted to do full literature. You could do
Okay.
literature and creative writing, literature and journalism, whatever.
I still think you're the smartest of all of us.
I'm not
Again,
saying I'm
I'm
not
gonna- I'm
smart.
gonna-
I'm saying
I'm
I
gonna
was not great in school.
Counteract that by just saying no student debt and was earning 6 figures by the time I was 21.
No, yeah, no.
Boom,
You made
baby.
it. You made it.
Boom.
Yeah,
Nicely
I'm
done.
still paying
Yes,
off
in
my
the
student
profes-
loans.
In the professional
And I picked
world,
a public
kick
education,
change,
as
yes.
did you.
I
My
did.
mum would
Mistake.
not give up on me getting a degree until I was
My
about
dad still wants me to go to
26,
grad
though.
school. I'm like, Dad, I have a like.
I have a
Mama.
lot
It's a
of
pretty
mixed,
good-
I have a
it's
lot
a
of
pretty
mixed
good
feelings
job.
about uni
Can
and
I-
secondary education. I'm like,
I
I just really want. The only thing I wanted to
Please.
say was, even though you were annoyed with Hermione, I could feel like, just because it's such a big moment, I knew that wasn't her like being fake, modest. She really was like, I'm not good enough, and that I got. Not about
No,
school.
I was running so hard during that. I was like, Hermione, we were all there. We all had the
No,
test.
I get
Yeah.
that of like, for all intents and purposes, you should think like, yeah, I'm doing fine, and you're like, oh no, I'm the worst in the whole world,
Yeah,
and I'm
I
gonna
love
fail.
Hermione.
I know. I
She's so-
really
she's
was
the best character in the series.
endeared to her in that
Yes.
moment.
But I've also been where Ron is, where you have incredible people in your life, and they're so down on themselves, and you're like, shut up, man! Like you're awesome. Like
Yeah, I didn't even get any.
You don't see
I
you
didn't
how
even
I
get
see
any
you, and you need to
O's.
see you.
Yeah.
You didn't get any outstandings. That
No
was kind of.
O's.
I was like a solid
Oh,
C
I
plus
got
B
an L.
minus
I got
person.
an OWL when I was their age. Drama. Who'd have thunk? Tell me more about that.
What's our homework, Maude?
I'm so glad you asked. We're going to be reading up to chapter 17. That's 10 chapters. Let's read. We're reading a bit shorter of a chunk this week. That's
Oh,
10
so they're
chapters.
shorter. So it must be page wise.
Because we're going to have a lot to read over Thanksgiving. You can thank us for that.
Up
Don't
to
forget, though,
17? Okay.
Up to 17. Up to 17. Don't forget we're on Goodreads. Put your books in. Have a chat with us about books. Search Alpha Book Club. Also, we haven't had a guest for so long. Does our
Yeah.
Skype not work?
I think nobody likes us anymore.
Guys, you're so great in the chat. Let's have a chaskies. Someone can pretend to be Fleur Delacour in it. Anyway, we need book recommendations. Tell us, you know what, just actually tweet us and tell us what you're reading. Because I love that more than anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At
the
Rachel Hunt, at
conversation-
Hector is
we
funny,
love,
at Maud
we
Garrett.
love those.
the best ever.
Tell us your like childhood favorites too.
Yeah, yeah.
Animorphs.
If you give a mouse a cookie.
Has
John
anyone
Bull-
heard of Toshi?
What?
I used to draw him.
Who?
Tashi?
Oh no.
We're gonna
Must be an
Baba.
Australian thing.
Baba.
That's what I said. But I
Babadook.
had a friend who was from France, and he was like, Baba. And I was like, no, it's Babar.
I love
Babar.
Babar.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love
The
Madeline.
elephant.
Oh,
Babar.
Madeline's
Those are great.
We'll see you next week, guys.
what's
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bingo. Bye-bye.
What's the mixed up files of Miss?